All right, everyone, let me know if you can hear this all right. I'm just going to start piping everything back into my own ears. Awesome. Sounds good. All right, now let's go here. And this should be my desktop if I hit that button correctly. Looks to be hell of off center here. No, that way. There. That will help my ADD a little bit. Awesome. All right, guys. So let's just get into this right away. I've got some new toys to play with. I have a new microphone coming in Monday, so apologies if there's any cutouts in the microphone or whatever. It's just been a bit of an ass, so I just need to replace that. It's been a good one. It's lasted me years. And we will... so I've got some new toys. Here, I'll show you. If I click on this, it goes down to my iPad, and I can do some doodles. Isn't that neat? So we're going to go through things a little bit more structured, I think, probably, as you can tell here. Right. So, again, if you guys are new for kind of what we do here on these Sundays, is we've got it broken into 4 parts. So let's go. So part 1, we're going to basically review market. Market. Okay. ET. Oh, my writing's bad. This might not be the best idea. We'll see. Then we're going to look into the shorts for 2. We're going to do the shorts, which are those short videos that I'm making each and every day. And we're just going to review kind of what I did, how I did everything, how that trading is going, changes I'd make for the future, all of that kind of stuff. And then part 3, we're just going to scan. And then after that, just Q and A, right? So you guys can ask kind of whatever you want on top of that and all of those things. So that's the agenda for today. And that's kind of the point of this, is showing you into, my workflow and things like that. So let's go back into here, and then let's take a look at the overall markets. And I have this on a weekly chart right now. So if you're interested in what's going on, this is a weekly chart. I'm going to go through this list here, which I've imported into TrendSpider just so that to make it a little bit easier on myself. So we're going to go through all of the major indices and everything that's happened with those last week. And then we're going to go through them again on a daily chart once we change this to a daily and see what's going on there. Then we'll take a look at the shorts. We'll do our scanning, hopefully about an hour. And as always, fully interactive. I've got all the chat up there. Watch as things go and ask any questions. I like to kind of chat while we go through this. And I'm going to show you a little bit into my journal and how I record these and things like this. So that may be part of the Stats Edge product in the future, but we'll see. So one of the first things I love to take a look at is this here, which is essentially each individual sector of the market and how it's going. And it's a bit kind of convoluted and, it looks a bit ugly. But basically what we're looking for is anything that exists kind of outside of this box. Right. So one thing this tells us, and this is the last 5 days, right? So this is basically last week, what happened to each individual sector. Basically anything in there I look at, it hasn't really done, the highest one was up 1%. The lowest sector was down 1.5%. For us, myself, who's a swing trader and a short-term trader, this isn't really that interesting. This shows me that there's not a lot going on in these sectors. However, Oil was down, or energy in totals was down quite a bit, right? 7.3%. So this is always the first place I go every day, week, month, just to say what's going on in the overall market, right? So if most of our sectors are trending and oil's the only one moving, that's something to keep an eye on. Now, if we scroll out and we go quarter to date, now this is what's going on this quarter, you can really see that this has been the tale for a little bit of a longer term analysis, right? We have oil up 30%, basically year to date or quarter to date, I think would be the same thing right now. XLF, so financials, are up 16%, and XLC, which is discretionary, right? No, communications, is up 11%. And then if we take a look, tech, which is XLK right here, is actually down on the year, as well as consumer staples with XLP. Discretionary is actually up, which is interesting. So again, all of these things I'm just looking at to say, what's the outlier, right? So the real outliers here are energy still doing well, although pulling back a bit, and financials doing well with really no pullback. Financials have been kind of nice trend up. So that makes me think that if I see anything in the energy or the financial sector, that's something I'm going to take a look at. Take a look. Do I have the TrendSpider public? I don't even know how to do that. Can I share my watch list with anyone with the link? Okay. Share. Copy. Okay. So you can take a look here, so I think I did that right. New to TrendSpider, but as always, in the links under the description, there is a link for TrendSpider and a link for Trade Ideas. Both of them are affiliates, so they'll pay back the channel if you're interested. But basically all I do is I take those sectors that we just looked at on Koyfin, and I just put them in this list so I can quickly tab through the charts and see what's going on here. I just sort them by change yesterday for real no reason, but I want to take a look at these because I want to say, okay, do I think the ones that are going to perform are going to continue to perform or not? All right, so for example, on a weekly chart, if we look at XLC, this one's kind of interesting to me because of this last hammer we had here. We're technically getting into the overbought area just slightly, and we've put in this inverted hammer right here. So I would be interested to see if communications start to break down next week. We could have a little revision going on here to maybe this prior resistance area or something like that. So I'm taking a look at that. If we take a look at industrials, same kind of thing, right? Nice strong push up, just hit overbought, putting in a little reversal candle looking thing. Consumer staples, this is one that we talked about that was actually strong. And this one's looking interesting here as well. Right, you can see this kind of sideways chop that's going on here. So it'd be interesting to see if this continues. Basically, the reason I do this is I want to get just kind of a synopsis and a feeling of the market. So I want to look through each sector and just kind of say, okay, where do I think we're going to go as a whole? And that's basically going to say how aggressive am I going to be with my swing trades? Am I going to look to trade things that are, growth or tech or this, or am I going to look to trade things that are more boring or things that I think will do well in a down market, right? So it's top-down analysis. I start out and then I just narrow in. XLB here with the materials is interesting. So we have this Rsi Divergence. So essentially RSI is a measure of momentum. So I'm looking at it here and I'm saying, okay, well, momentum is pulling back at the same time financials are increasing. This could be, materials are increasing. This could be actually a sign for materials coming up. So down on, if we go here, let's get rid of this. and hit this, right? So I'm going to start noting things like this, right? So I'm going to note that XLE, we noted it was pulling back. And then we just noticed that XLB, which is just materials, we have an RSI divergence. Right, so now, just outside screen, what I'll do is I'll actually grab this and just put it. Can I do that? No, it's not that fancy. I'm coming up with a new, this is not my normal note-taking procedure. I'm coming up with a slightly new one, mainly just because, oh no, that did work. Okay, just took a second. Oops. One second. I'm just using a different app than I'm used to, just because I'm coming up with a product for stats edge trading, and part of it I think is going to be taking a look at my notes. So I want to show you guys kind of how I'll make notes, right? So I'm just noting this RSI divergence that's happening here, and I'm just going to add that in there as well. And probably easier for you guys if I just make these text like this. I just do text here. And I'll just say XL XLE divergence, and then it was XLB. Oh, no, this one was pullback. Let's just make that a little after. Generally, I use like Notion for this, but things are just looking a little different. So if we go back here, we can continue on, right? And this is kind of, hey Brian, how's it going? And this is more or less how I look at things each time, right? So this will be interesting here for XLE. If we're watching this breakout area that occurred right here on this pullback, it'll be interesting to see. But we already noted that XLE was pulling back. The other thing that I'm looking at here is if we just look at this pattern, this candlestick pattern, and zoom in, this is what they call an evening star pattern, which is a big strong push up, a doji, and then a big strong push down. It's a pretty prominent reversal patterns. So far, basically what I'm just looking, when I'm looking through my notes here, is I'm just looking to see what's going on in the market, and then everything so far I'm writing is bearish in some way. So I'm going to add on the notes here, I'm going to add XLE evening star weekly, because again, my focus is about a week period. So when it comes to things like this, I'm trying to predict what this next bar is going to be. And if it's going to be down, then I know I'm going to want to avoid stocks that are going to have issues with XLE and go to stocks that may benefit. For example, solar, right? Oil tanks, people are going to invest more in solar. Consumer discretionary, really nothing to note there. XLK, which is technology, this is looking very, very bearish to me. So same thing, we're going to go down here. Let's shrink this chart and move it over. Oops. Go down here. So I'm just going to take another screenshot of the XLK, which is tech, right? And tech has been beaten recently. and it looks like that beating may continue. So I just want to move this a little over here. So again, when I get a product up for Stats Edge, it will look probably something near this in which I'm noting. So again, you see the same kind of RSI divergence happening here, right? Where the RSI is selling as this thing is rising. So I definitely want to make note of that. And I want to talk about how, so K, which is tech for you guys who don't know. Possible breakdown. Weekly. All right, you can see they're very basic, simple notes, but it's a good way to make sure that you're kind of staying in the things that are strong at the time, right? And that's one of the major it's one of the major reasons on profile. And we're done our list here, right? So I got a question. How do you see the volume on the right-hand side? In TrendSpider under indicators, that is volume by price, I think they call it. Yeah, volume by price. So what it does, it just shows as opposed to, oh, I got rid of the RSI. Instead of looking at volume based on the day, you're just looking at it by price, where you're saying, well, I'm more concerned, which is something that I really like. And one of the reasons I use TrendSpider charts is TradeIdeas charts don't have those currently, but it shows me where the volume is taking place on any given instrument. So here's the overall market in the SPY. You can see just, again, possible, right? Could you say maybe an oops right here where we broke out of resistance and then came back down? Maybe. It's still, again, everything I'm looking at is still in an uptrend. But as a short-term trader, could we see next week is bearish and maybe pull back to the trend line before bouncing? Maybe. And then Bitcoin. I'm currently short Bitcoin, just full disclosure. I'm short in around the high 59,000s with a stop just over the highs. Basically just looking at this RSI divergence that's happening here for any of you crypto guys. Basically, as Bitcoin is rallying here, momentum is decreasing. So just looking for a counter trend play to see if we can get a little bit of a pullback. So now let's take a look at the daily charts and quickly knock through that list again, and then we will review last week's trading. So right here on the daily chart on the SPY, you see this high volume area that's taken place here. That's very interesting because we've pulled back 3 days into it. So I wouldn't be shocked if Monday was maybe a bounce day. So maybe we're looking at, something like this and then a pullback. I don't know, but this is a very interesting area to look at. So I'm going to grab this screenshot and let's hunker down in the notes there. Did that work? No? Let's try again. So yeah, these side volume bars I really like because they just kind of show me where has the recent action taken place. So I'm going to leave that there, and then under SPY, pull back to high volume node and 20-day SMA, weekly bearish, daily bullish, pullback. Everything's getting a bit messed up here. Hold on, move that over a little bit. There we go. All right, so this is kind of the synopsis we're looking at that we talked about, is that this area right here, make that, draw, right? This area right here is a high volume node, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see a little bit of a bounce from here. Maybe, right, something like this. And again, as data changes, I'll obviously change my opinion, but this is kind of our market outlook, so to say. We notice that the XLE is pulling back after strength, which we didn't put that chart up, but basically just a strong chart that's now kind of pulling back here. XLE had an evening star on the weekly, so it's potential that we're going to get a continued pullback this week. XLB, which is materials, we noticed this RSI divergence and this topping tail that was going on right here in the chart. So again, going to watch this one closely. Potential down push. XLK just looks ugly and looks like we could be breaking down entirely here. The SPY, the daily, looks like there's some bounce potential. However, the weekly looks a bit more bearish. So then we just kind of take this and I say, well, what am I thinking now overall? So I'll just go right, so I'm just bearish to cautious, and by that by cautious I just mean that not necessarily the entire market, but I'm going to be cautious of which sectors I'm interested in, and I think that's going to be kind of a tail going forward here. Move that down a bit. Let's see. I think I can show you guys a little bit more here. How about that? That might be a little better view. All right, now, hey Sam. So that's kind of our market wrap up. So I'm not going to be, jumping into things crazily. Now, what may occur, and this is always the way the market occurs, something could change, right? If we go back to the weekly chart, if we gap up tonight, we gap up above this area and this was just a little red bar pullback and we're going to push through, then that's fine. Again, the overall trend since the pandemic has been bullish with nothing really in the way of pullbacks. So when I say bearish, it's always got to be time frame dependent, right? I trade within a couple days to a week. So I just want to make sure that I'm on the side of the most bullish kind of a trend, just to make sure for my time frame. But someone looks at this and they're an investment type person, they may say, looks like for the next 6 months it's bullish, and so far they're right. There's nothing here that over the long run looks bearish, but it's just a bit cautious, I guess I could say. All right, so now we're going to go through the everything for the week, all of these shorts. So again, if you're new to this channel, I started doing this thing where I make a 1-minute video each and every day. Let's go in here. All right, so I make these tiny videos each day that just talk about, here's what the market is. Here's what I think of this stock. Here's what I think of this stock. Here's what I think of this stock. And then on the weekend, we wrap these up. And then next week, we'll do a bunch more, and then we'll wrap them up, and then, right, so on and so on and so forth. Now, there is more. I used to do a lot more things like live trading, and I'm going to get back into that. That's actually on my notes for next week, is to start getting into more of these educational videos again. I'm just going to do less of them. I'm just going to make them better. I'm going to edit them more and things like that. So pay attention to this. And again, while I'm here, I launched a website, Stats Edge Trading. So far, all it is a place that you can take a look at my one-on-one. Oh, move that down. one-on-one coaching that I do. You can email me for that as well. There's also this free trading course here. That's something that me and my wife did during quarantine. 36 lessons on how to trade from absolute basics to super advanced, 100% free. Fill your boots. I'm going to do something else at some point. I just don't exactly know what that is. But yeah, we'll go through here. So the first one was OLB. Let's take a look. OLB, and we're going to take a look at this on the daily chart. And OLB, I keep doing this where I hold control, reset. There we go. OLB, and I always like to load up the video so I know exactly where it was. Right. Oh, I got to remove. There we go. So OLB, I talked about it right on this candle for a breakout over this area. Nothing occurred. Right, it sold off the next day and then just spent the next 3 or 4 days down here. Still interested, to be honest. If you know, so I have actually. Let's do that before I forget. I need to get better at doing this, so I'm going to put in a alert here. So move that up, and then we're actually going to create alert. No sensitivity. There we go. Yeah, so just interested if we get back up into this area. Nothing really happened with that one. This week there was some good ones, and this one's we're probably going to spend the most time talking about. And that's Ywmc, because this was by far the most interesting, and the one that I'm still trading. So Ywmc, I talked about it. Right, it's probably actually best if I do. No, then you get the volume on the side. So I'll just do this. Right there. So before this green candle, so on this little spinning top, that's when I put the video out. Again, let me just bring it in here so you guys can see. Right, so the chart looked just like this. So it had the doji and then this other little doji. So I was interested here. Part of the reason was the massive short. Oh no, that's Ywmc. Yeah, 11% short float. I knew it wasn't that big. So I had a big short float. For an IPO, that's actually a massive short float. It's generally hard to get a lot of shares short on an IPO, and this thing just started in this area, really. So pulled back, put in these little doji candles, looked like it had a potential of holding support and break back up. It did, so I bought it actually as it broke out. So I got a fill at, I think it was 868. Next day it was up at 10, and if we go into the pre-market, it looked really good. Like it actually spent some time up there. So I actually unloaded a lot up when it failed off of 10. So about $1 up is where I got out most. Now it came back down to the ADMA here on Friday, and I actually rebought what I sold, and so I still have a stop loss in kind of this area. But if I get stopped out, it will be kind of like a break even to maybe a small winner type of a trade. Don't do this often. When I do, again, mixed results, but it's one of those, if I can get in at 8 and then out at 10 and then back in at 8 again the next day, I'm going to just take that second shot. If we go into intraday, basically the reason was why I got back in is, I would like to say I got in here at the end of the day, but I actually got in around here in the low 8s, and it was basically because that was kind of the breakout area, and it had tagged that and it was starting to rally off it. So I bought it through there. This part of the day I was feeling like a genius, and then we did this into the close. So still in. So it's still a potential, again, break even or a loss trade if we come back out and stop this. If we basically I want to see us get below this area right here, and that's where I'm wrong. So that was a complicated one, but again, in and out, in and out. PBI. Haven't done anything with PBI yet, but still interested. Basically just looking at how much it's holding this area. And again, we always need to do this in context of going back and looking here at the SPY, right? The last 3 days, we had this big push down. So if I take a look at PBI, I can look at it and I can say, well, relatively speaking, PBI has been doing phenomenally. So if we break out, then I'm still going to be interested in PBI next week. Last is Rev for this week. Basically on Rev, just looking to break this area and to have this pop. Some relative strength to the market, but not a whole lot. And you can see Rev is still, oh, you can't. That's a little bit too high for you. I'll pull that down. Yeah, Rev is the highest looked at stock on this scan right here. So probably, sorry about that. Sorry, put that back like that. There we go. Move over a bit, just like that. Now let's move that out of the way. So I stopped doing that. Yeah, so, Rev, we're looking interesting. Now, full disclosure again, because I always try to tell these things. When we came and we held the 20-day twice here, I bought some call options. So I'm in some basically in the money or at the money calls. If we start to break, I'll start to buy some stock as we go. Just one of those that the calls, as it was selling, were just very, very cheap. So it was one of those that figured pick it up and away we go. But it's this area right here that we actually have to watch. So we'll take a look at that as it goes. And then again, one of the other reasons that I'm interested in this is look at all the volume that's occurred. Probably better do it with this. All the volume that's occurred kind of right in this area. So if this acts as support and then we start to push off this high volume node, there's really nothing in the way. I'm using the news here that TrendSpider has from Benzinga because bluntly it's better than the Trade Ideas news for now. I know they're going to make some changes soon, which would be great because the more I can do in Trade Ideas, which is my preferred program, the better. Really nothing, right? 10 days ago, not interested. So that is it for last week. Anyone have any questions about last week's trading at all? 25 of you. Jeez, I'm going to be famous on the internet soon. So what we need to do now is we need to do our, if we go to the iPad here, review and playbook trade, right? So this is one thing that I do pretty much every day. I'd like to say it's like, meditation or flossing or something, right? You highly wish you actually did it every day. And I should, but I don't. But what I want to do is I want to pick a trade that I liked and something that worked out for me, and I want to journal that trade and I want to note that trade. And the reason is for when things stop working the way they do, which happens, I have this little note right here. So I want to draw where I was interested. I want to, in green, I note my entry price. And then in red, I note my stop price. And then in yellow or orange or something, I note where I got out. But with this one, because I got back in, I have to note another green area, which is just draw a little line right here. So you can see I'm basically just drawing out the trade what I did and why. And then I'll do a little write-up. And we'll just make it the same color. Not underlined, not 27, and not pink. I don't understand this friggin' program. Be that color. Notability. Be better. Okay, I'm learning. I can just do that. I can just make a little box and I can type in that box. Okay. I don't understand how this works, but took on a double doji break. All right, so the reason for this, right, and why this is hugely important is basically you need to constantly do this kind of stuff, and most traders, sadly, especially the failing ones, don't. Right? They don't do the thing where they're trying to constantly get better at trading as much as they think they do. This is something that I do kind of on a daily basis, and you can see in real time how long that took me, like 2 minutes. And it's basically just a trade I took, and it's the reasons for it, right? So Ywmc was a new issue, and it was at support, and the Anchored View app from the IPO was kind of in this area as well. Here's the support area, and then it had a double doji, right? So it had a doji this day, and then it had a doji this day. So I took on a break of that, and right, my stop I can see easily on the chart. And then I can say where I sold it and how much, 2/3. That's supposed to be to lock in profits. And then when it failed to break 10. So we hit 10, you can see the high volume node there at 10, and then we started to sell. So then I repurchased that at an ADMA on bullish daily action. And again, it's these notes that will help you when you're struggling, because you can go back and you'll see in every daily journal what you were thinking of the market. This is a little bit more personal stuff that I'll fill in tomorrow morning. And then watch lists and ideas is what we're going to do next, where we're going to add in a couple charts and why we're interested in those charts, and we'll review those tomorrow. So back to here. Question plan from the website. Have I considered some options trading? I have. First, I'm actually going to do something that's going to be cool. Once Tasty Trade makes it up to Canada with my buddy Sean McLaughlin, who's Chicago Sean on Twitter. You should check him out. He's an options pro. I actually have a couple post-secondary designation in options, but I've never really seriously traded them. So the game plan is to have me show him some of the algorithms I'm running and the theories I have in my trading, and have him then tell me how to express it best through options. We're going to do a whole course like that and release that course. But yeah, I was thinking about doing all that. PBI does look good for next week's swing. We're going to definitely take a look at that as well. From Brett, yeah. Got a question, where do I find these stocks? In the description below, but I'll put a link. I have my trade ideas link, and again, full disclosure, this is an affiliate link, so if you buy using that link, I will be compensated. But yeah, I use trade ideas to scan. So I come up with ideas of what I want to see in the market through a trading plan that I build, and then I use trade ideas to play for that scan. Someone wants the A-Table 2.0. Sure thing. So this is a scan that I've kind of bastardized from Steve Gomez, in which I basically just took an idea that he had about stocks that are highly ranked within trade ideas, and I just added some filters to make sure that they were under certain moving averages or Bollinger Bands, things like that, to make them sure I wasn't looking for things that were just rocketing. What I noticed between max P&L and actual P&L last week, it's a choppy week. So, your max P&L is always higher. I don't focus on P&L, to be blunt. When a trader focusing on P&L is one of those things that when you're in the gym, someone focusing on how much they can curl. It's like it's kind of an irrelevant statistic. What I want to focus on, I'm 100% and always focused on process. That's just what I do. Because eventually I know that things will work out if I keep my process, right? The entire job, the way I look at it as a trader, is to stay alive until you get lucky, right? And I've talked about my GameStop trade that I had and how that was already kind of a year maker for me, and it's March, right? Being involved in this second move from the 40s on up, and that's a large part going to be luck. But again, my goal is to just stay alive, focus on my process, P&L, and everything will come. Are these stops in the 7 to 8% range? Stops are always based off of an invalidation of my idea, right? So for example, Rev is, right, the theory behind Rev is I want to be involved if we get over this area, right? So if we start to push up and we break this area, I will purchase here. And then my stop will probably go under this swing low, unless we do something like we make a high and then a low, and then, right, then I would move it up. But I don't. So what I then do is I'll do the math, right? So actually, let's just do this with this. So if we're in at 1350, and we know, by we, I mean me, and you guys shouldn't follow me. This is not financial advice. I'm just some dude on the internet. Great. So we're in 1350. Stop would be 12, let's say. So we're risking $1.50. So then I take that I know, and then I back into my share size from there. Say my account. Again, it's Sunday, and this is the only my second coffee. So let's say my account's an even $100,000, and I want to risk 1% of the value of my account in any given trade. I'm risking $1,000 on every trade right now. Just again, math sakes. Calculator. So all I need to do is I need to say, okay, well, we're going to be involved at 1350, and we are going to be wrong at 12. So we're risking $1.50 per share. So on top of this $1.50 risk per share, I said I have a $100,000 account, and I want to risk 1% of that account. So I'm risking $1,000. So I want to take $1,000 and I want to divide it by our risk, which was $1.50. So I am going to take, it's the evil devil's number, I'm going to take roughly 650 shares or 700 shares, ballpark round, if Rev triggers, right? But then a completely different trade, maybe something like Ywmc, right? In which I was getting involved at, my entry was at 850. And again, I'm going to be grossly rounding. And my stop was 810, right? So now, right, I'm supposed to be in at 850 and I'm out at 810. So we're risking 40 cents, right? 40 cents. And again, $100,000 account, want to risk $1,000 per trade. So I'm risking 1,000 divided by 0.4. So I'd take 2,500 shares of Ywmc. And this is why each individual trade is going to be incredibly different depending on what your risk value is. And the beauty of it is within trade ideas, and this is one of the things I love trade ideas for, which is how I enter all my orders, is I can go in and I could say something like, I want to put the stop at yesterday's low, and I want to make my risk $1,000, right? So trade ideas on its own will say, okay, well, you're entering here and you want your stop to be there. So I'm going to calculate the share size to make it to $1,000. And then I'm just going to do that for you. So I don't have to do this math each and every time, but I can. But that's, if you're not using trade ideas and you're not using auto trading, that's how I do the math. And I think it's very important because that's everything. Because that, I glossed over it, right? But, by risking, actually, let's go to here. Instead of risking a pure, I want to risk 10% a trade or whatever, what happens is when you're, let's do black. And then let's go down here and I'm just going to draw some stuff. So right now, say I have a 100K account and I want to risk 1% of the value of my account. So that's 1K, right? Say over time, I grow my account, everything's going well, and I reach 150K. Well, now I'm risking, at the same percentage, I'm risking 1.5K. So this is a way that you can kind of naturally scale up. Now, say things are doing not so well, and my account gets cut in half, right? I'm not following my rules. I'm one of those people who decided not to do a trading plan, just jump into it. Well, my risk is auto adjusting for me so that I'm only risking $500. And then say I didn't learn my lesson. I didn't build a trading plan. I didn't follow my trading plan or whatever. Well, now I'm risking $250. So it's going to be one of those things in which your account is never actually going to blow up because the amount that you're risking decreases and decreases and decreases, your account decreases. And other way around, if you're doing well, as you're doing well, the dollar amount of your account increases. So you end up getting these parabolic up and parabolic down type curves with your P&L. And I did something here, and this is for anyone who actually watched the Back to Basics series. I did this. So slides and then this spreadsheet. So this is how powerful this thing is. Let me go in here. How powerful this concept is. So I did a random simulation here in which I took a trade and I basically gave it a 50-50 win rate. And when it was right, it made $150, and when it was wrong, it lost $100. So a 1.5 to 1 risk reward and a 50-50 win rate, right? So pretty generic odds. This amount right here, this is all of the 4 simulations that I ran, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is basically what an account would look like with a 50-50 win rate and a 1.5 to 1 risk reward, constantly risking $150 to make, or risking $100 to make $150. Sorry. Now, by changing the same probability of profit, but in fact you're risking a percentage of your account instead of a dollar amount, and it's still 1.5 to 1 risk reward and a 50-50 win rate, this is what happens, right? These other 4 charts are still there. You just can't see them. Now, this is, again, it's an absurd example for sure, but it basically shows that as your account increases, the amount of money you're making and losing on any trades increases as well. So you can kind of think about this as compounding interest as opposed to a straight shot. Now, this only works, this is assuming no withdrawals for living expenses or whatever, just account growth. And this is why people will shuck at, a 1%. What's that? You can see the dramatic difference based off of, again, the same statistics, just changing your risk management plan. So it's one of those things, if you find yourself fairly profitable and you're winning more than you're losing, your risk management's okay, and all of these things, it's maybe your risk management plan. And again, not many people talk about this because it's not sexy, right? In the way that charts is and algorithms and setups and stuff. But that's huge, right? Because I can do all these and I can really hone in my trading plan and philosophy and all that. But if I don't do that other side, then I'm really not getting it fully the way that I could, right? So again, something to think about. I think it's important to think about for sure. So last but not least, we reviewed last week's watch list. It went great. We talked about trading, what the markets look like, my theory behind them as a chartered market technician and all this kind of stuff. Now we're going to scan and do a Q&A at the same time to try to find what I'm going to put on my watch list next week. I'm going to make some notes on those, and then that will be kind of the wrap-up kind of thing from there. And again, Sam, as always, thanks for the kind words. And again, thank everyone for the support that you've been giving, liking those short videos and everything. YouTube, I guess, really likes when you guys hit the like button, and I hate to be the shill to ask, but so the people who just take a second, scroll down, tap like, and move on, it helps the channel, so it helps me out significantly. So I'm going to ask what Bonpara means. I've given this a few times, but yeah, if you're new, for sure. I mentor traders one-on-one. So you can email me. Links for my email are in the descriptions of all my video. You can go to statsedgetrading.com. You can get in touch with me there. So I mentor traders one-on-one. One of the first guys I did, I asked his goal, because that's one thing that I always do is I go through and I say, okay, what's your goal? Where are you now? Where do you want to be? All of these things. And the guy, again, I really wish I knew what country he was from, but it was in one of the Caribbean island countries. And he said in his area, there was a saying, and it was Bonpar. And for him, it just meant well off. And that was his goal. He's like, I don't want a yacht. He's like, I don't want a private jet. I don't think these things are achievable in the way that a lot of the media will tell you and things like this. He's like, I just want to be well off. He's like, I want to be able to take days off and spend them with my kids and all this. And it was just really, it resonated with me. I'm like, that's my goal as well, right? So that's why whatever I design for Stats Edge trading, it's not going to be a $10,000 a month type of thing. It's going to be like $50 a month, and that's it. Because again, that's my goal. So anyway, that's what it means. I'm trying to get rid of the old name so I don't have to explain it. And we're just going to go over to Stats Edge because that's what I do. Everything you're seeing here that we're going to scan through is statistically driven and then technically enhanced, right? But yeah, that's where it came from. I really wish I had that guy's email still and ask him how he was doing. He's a really good guy. And again, the people who have goals like that do well in trading. The poor people who follow red-headed, man-bun wearing scammers who shall not be named, I feel bad for, but it's not real, and it's just not what we're doing here, kind of thing. So they like thumbs ups, but they love comments. Yeah, anything. I really need a YouTube guy who understands all this, because I get comments all the time. I can't believe you've been doing this for 10 years and your YouTube channel's tiny. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If I knew a way out, I'd be pushing it for sure. Okay, I think we're up with all the questions. Sessions are well worth it. Oh, thanks, Brett. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go. TI does make a lot of money off Man But Hen. No, that's you haven't. He probably shouldn't talk about it. He has his own scanner now that has nothing to do with trade ideas and doesn't look very close to trade ideas and doesn't seem to print a lot of the same symbols that trade ideas does at the same time. Certainly not saying anything like that from the guy who obviously has way more money than I do, but he had to do it at the cost of his soul. But yeah, it's, again, won't talk too much about that. Don't sue me. Allegedly. Yeah, there you go, Brian. Allegedly, he has a scanner now that he built entirely on his own. And looks a lot like us, and we've actually put our scanner and his stream side by side, and the symbols seem to be coming off at the same second. Sometimes the same like 10th of a second, but probably just a coincidence. Anyway, so basically 2 scans. I can and I have shared this one down here. I cannot share this one because it has a bunch of customs in it. Basically, the 2 scans and what we're looking for, both are driven kind of by short float, which is this column here, and this column here, which is just the amount that the stock is shorted. This one is basically looking for range contraction. So it's looking for stocks that are abnormally tight, right? Than they normally are. This one's looking for stocks based off of what Trade Ideas score is. So if you don't know what Trade Ideas score is, it's basically a ranking system that we use for stocks. So think Investors Business Dailies thing, that type of thing. But it's looking for stocks that are strong based off technical, statistical, fundamental, social, although we need to replace that social part with stock twits mentions that we've lost, but we're working on adding data sources back to that. So it's mostly the same without it. We've basically just allocated more points to the technical side of things from the social until we get social in, we'll allocate those points back. So more, basically the moral of the story is anything on this list, take a look at this number. So anything over 70 is strong. Anything in the 80s is very strong. Anything in the 90s, super strong. But I've actually restricted this list so that the stocks can't be just running straight up, because I'm not that kind of trader. So Rev we're interested in. We already have that. That was an idea from last week. Hasn't triggered yet. I told you guys I do own some calls. I picked up like $1,000 worth of calls down in this area. Again, that's just it was a good, I was looking at them, I was looking at the stock, it was rallying at the time after this pullback, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I'll buy actual stock if we break through here, and I'll go from there. OPK, and again, if you guys don't know, I do some selling. Links are in the description below for trade ideas, which is where I do my scanning, my trading, alerting, all of that happens through trade ideas. And then this is TrendSpider, which is my charting platform of choice. I really like these guys. So now is when we can do a lot of questions too, because I'm just going to be scanning through stocks. Anything that is not interesting to me, I'm not going to commentate on. CRDF. Sam, you said you were in CRDF too. I am in CRDF, I believe, as well. Let me actually, just so I don't have to open up my brokerage account on screen. I think I'm in CRDF as well. CRDF is oncology, which is cancer. Do I look at utilization percentage on IBKR, like how much I'm invested? No. Yeah, I'm in CRDF. I'm in CRDF at 11 no. Where's my, there's nothing here that can get me in trouble if I show you no. Yeah, I'm up $70 in it. I have 400 shares. So I think I'm in 10. Last change position. Yeah, I don't know. You guys can't see that, can you? No, that doesn't. CRDF. Yeah, so I'm in that one as well. So I can't really make that a call. If I ever do one of these shorts in something I'm in, I'll tell you guys, but I really try to avoid it. It just doesn't feel right, being in something and saying, hey guys, you should buy this. That's what evil redheads do. WVE is very interesting here. We have this kind of declining triangle happening here, which I very much like. So we have an area of support that we keep bouncing off of, and then we have a lower area of resistance that we keep bouncing off of. If we look at the volume shelf that's going on right here, there's a lot of volume in this area. You can see every little bounce is happening at that high volume node, and then nothing really in volume above, and then this gap right here as well. So big, long gap. So WVE is for sure going to be on the list, and I'm going to add price alert in here, and I'm going to grab, just so I can show you how these notes kind of look like, grab this and go down here. That didn't work. Try again. Notability seems a bit. One of the reasons I'm choosing notability, excuse me, is that it's supposed to be easy to use. There it goes. And it's supposed to be something that I can share with people. So when we get a product at Stats Edge that's going to look something like, I don't want to be an alert service, and I won't. That's the kind of main thing. I want to be an educational service and an idea generation service, but not a buy this. So this is WVE. This is why we're watching WVE, and I'll draw an arrow to the high volume node, and then we'll put in support, and we will say WVE. Okay, now it's working. I don't know why it wasn't before. WVE hot bouncing off high volume node. and 12% short. So far, that's the most interesting one I see. So again, just to show you guys, these are kind of what the notes look like. I want to have a general what I was looking at the chart. I want to talk about why I'm interested in this, what I'm looking for, what the pattern is, that type of thing. And go back mini, here we go. So now we'll just, again, continue to scan. It's in, it's noted, away we go. CRDX. So what we're looking for, again, in my head, I'm always noting what the SPY looked like. I also have it on another monitor, so it's not just in my head, but I'm saying, okay, what does the SPY look like? There's the Ywmc back into our list here. The idea being, right, what are we looking at versus the SPY, right? Because I'm constantly reevaluating what the market looks like or what this area looks like into the SPY as well. Here's another one. I'm not going to make a note of this one, but I am just going to add it to my liked list as something to tweet out later. But basically the idea, I usually just make a note on 2 or 3. I'm never going to go through each individual one. It's more about finding a patterns in my trading and then go from there. So again, getting tight here, close the gap, holding this gap area, a lot of volume in this area. So I really wouldn't be interested in this one until it gets out of here. That's why I'm not going to make notes on it now, because it's not really a trade candidate so much for Monday, just a trade candidate total. And we'll go down. Again, both these are shorted by short float. So under 10, I'm less interested. Under 5, I'm less interested. I like the catalyst of things pushing. This chart looks very, very interesting, but we have earnings on Wednesday, so I'm not interested, to be honest. So that's going to be it for this list. We'll go down this one. Again, as question, where can I get the A-table scan? I need to keep looking up to see questions. No, Brett says with the reflects the borrowed shares. Oh no, I don't look at that just because it's only going to be for this broker. Let me get this for you. So there's the table scan right there. Yeah, so I don't look at the ones that are borrowed just because it's only borrowed in that broker. There could be somewhere else. I get the concept and it may make sense, but it means I need to look somewhere else. Can I still make manual trades in Brokerage Plus if I don't have the data description? No. Brokerage Plus will not work until you get a data prescription or subscription, period. It's only $10 a month, and if you make more than $30 worth of trades, they'll waive that. I would suggest getting it for 10. It's one of those things, if the $10 a month is cost prohibitive, there may be more issues you need to look at, but it is what it is, right? That's the cost. Which market data description do I need? It's called the equity and something snapshot. Equity Interactive brokers data. Fees. Market data, interactive brokers. Let me get it for you here. This one. Right here. U.S. securities snapshot and futures bundle. So it's $10, and then if you generate $30 for them in commission, they'll waive it. I've never paid it, but I'm an active, pretty active trader. So these will get them for you, top notch. I also get the options just because they waive that too, but anyway, it's fine. So yeah, this one right here, U.S. security snapshot and futures bundle. All right. I was looking at TR, but Tootsie Roll, this must have been a GameStop Reddit push. Less interested. Really not seeing a whole lot. G-Tech is interesting. I'm in J-Tech, so I don't feel comfortable making that a call. So it may just be WVE here. Thanks a lot. Oh, no worries. No worries. Play, Dave & Buster's just been rocket. Like all of these really, like Play and Car have been rocketing. JWN and Nordstrom's been rocketing. A lot of the boring plays, Macy's. I made like a crap ton of money on Macy's recently, which is usually a dead stock, but they're kind of pushing through to this rotation from growth stocks into value stocks has been really making some crazy moves. So really all I'm seeing other than what I'm in is WVE for tomorrow. We can review that down here. This is the idea with WVE, is that it's pulling in like this, but that's going to be about it. So I think that's where I'm going to call it, guys, because that's about all there is to it. I had a question. Okay, we got one question. You have a chance. In Trade Ideas, can you look at one stock? If you want to, you can point any scan to just a single stock. If you just right click, hit configure, and then under symbol lists right here, you just click on this drop down and then single symbol. So if I just wanted to look at, GameStop or something in there, you can do that as well. So you can build a scan and say, I just want this one thing to be pointed at this one thing, then you can do that super easily. Oh, no problem, man. No problem. And again, questions like that at noon Eastern every day on Trade Ideas YouTube channel. There's an hour Q&A session. I do Wednesdays if you want to wait for me, but pop by anytime. Simple questions like that, we'll get them squared away for you, no problem. It's something that I think it's great that Trade Ideas does. A different trader that uses Trade Ideas and has some relationship with Trade Ideas every day for an hour just goes and says, ask away. We'll help you out. But anyway, guys, so WVE, that's going to be, I don't see a reason not. And I think that's going to be the video for tonight. So I am actually going to go and make that video. And that will be kind of it for me for the day. So it was great chatting with everyone. I hope you are enjoying the new format of short videos and live streams. Let me know. Again, if you can pop a like on the way out, that'd be great. Also, if you can go over to Stats Edge Trading and scroll down to the bottom of the screen, let me get you that. And sign up for my email list. Don't worry, I'm not going to spam you with crap. I'm not going to sell your email to anyone. Just whenever I come up with a product, it'll be out there. And on the way out, let's look at Sam's NTGR here. Really nothing, Sam. Above that, great. It's kind of in the middle of a bunch of junk, to be honest. Yeah, I would watch it for a breakout above that high, but that's about it. Great. I'm glad. Good feedback. I'm glad you're learning a lot. If on the way out, you could just hit that like button to point this to other people at YouTube. That'll be great. I'll be on next Saturday. And again, there's a video on the channel every day now. So go watch it. And again, comments, likes, feedbacks, all that kind of stuff is great. Cheers. I will talk to you guys later.